Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of Anitube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 18th of May to the 24th of May. It's kind of I'm shifting a day back a little. I'm including some videos that were aired yesterday. There's a bit of an overlap, but I'm not including any videos that came out today, Monday, the day I'm filming this, Memorial Day, because it's Memorial Day, and I have to rush this out a little quicker because I'm hanging out with family in the afternoon, so I'm recording this now. Let's talk about a video that, I was going to give it a disappointed, and that the more it went on, not good. I am not really a fan. This is the first time looking at a video from In Frame Out. This is somebody recommended this to me, pointed me towards it, and this video came out like the 18th, and it's also episode 2. I didn't actually watch episode 1 yet, so I don't know what films he talked about in that one. But basically, Discovering Ghibli, episode 2, is In Frame Out talking about 4 Ghibli films that he went into completely blind, didn't do any research, didn't look anything into it. He's obviously kind of peripheral seen stuff in passing, but he's going in hot, and seeing all of these maybe in a row. It doesn't seem like, it seems like they're doing it in a more leisurely pace, not like, marathoning them or anything like that. And he does seem to get a fair deal of it. I'm not saying, obviously, you don't have to research into Miyazaki to enjoy these movies. Obviously not. I think he saw Totoro and at least Totoro and Whisper of the Heart in the last one. And in this one, he's talking about Howl's Moving Castle, Porco Rosso, Ponyo, and Pompoko. He's watching them via randomizer. I don't know why. didn't really understand why he's doing this in a kind of a scrambled form. But, I did not enjoy it because the more it went on, I was realizing he kind of has the same flow with each of these films, that being, giving a general idea of it and then really sinking into his problems with them. And then kind of adding at the end or somewhere kind of about like the positives. And it seems that he enjoyed the movies, all 4. He didn't outright hate any of them, but his criticism is really, really unflattering, in my opinion. I'm not going to be like, you're wrong, right? Because it's an opinion he can have, sure. But it's just really weird to come off that way. I don't know. It would just, I didn't like the takes here, is all I'm kind of saying here. And it's, the real thing about it is that it's the same takes you're going to expect. It's like, it's not like even like a hot take in a way that's like, oh, I've never heard anyone complain about that. Every single one, he has the same criticism that everyone has about these films. Howl's Moving Castle being too all over the place and messy and rushed or something. Porco Rosso being misogynistic. And it's not like they don't have those problems, but it's just so to point those out as problems, it's like, it's not insightful, personally. And it's like, well, what do you expect when you're going in blind and you're not consuming any anything peripheral besides the film itself? It's like, if he took criticism, if he consumed some people's review of it, some people who were positive with this film, because people really like Howl's and a lot of people don't, and a lot of people say Porco's their favorite movie for X and X reasons, and I don't think he got it. I'm not a big Porco stan myself. I'm more of a Nazca and Cagliostro person, really. But it just was really awkward, especially low-key. Steve put out his Porco Rosso video, and it didn't do so hot with the Ghibli folks. Well, we'll see if this video does any better, but that was a way better video. He happened to show me as a courtesy as an associate, so I appreciate the showing it. But I'm not going to talk about it because it's not out in full. You can't watch it, right? I can't. He has it unlisted, but like on a separate channel. I'm not going to link that here. I'm not like that. Trust me though, it's very good when it comes out. But yeah, like having seen that video and then watching his criticisms of this and being very dismissive of it is so, ugh. And again, you know my taste. It's like I'm allergic to negative shit, but and I'm attracted to positive things like catnip. But yeah, it's really obnoxious, personally. And it's not like he's talking obnoxiously either. And the video seems fine enough, but it just comes off very film criticism-y, and like certain words, certain sentences that he's using to describe how he's feeling don't feel validated. Or like, where did you get this? Like, you're just in Poko, he says like it's simultaneously too broad and too niche, and he says like too broad for XXX, too niche for XXX, and I'm like, what? It's just not well articulated, personally. I think it just seems like I don't know if the right word is grandstanding, but you know how anime YouTubers, how YouTubers in general just think they're very smart, and they just pull these sentences out of their ass and think they're saying something, and you're not connecting. And this is why a lot of people don't watch this kind of content, because it's very like very amateurish. Not that this was fully amateur or anything like that, but it just was not very easy to digest, especially particularly where he gets to Pompoko, and he's complaining about how weird it is and how they use their testicles a lot. Like, he makes a bunch of like the old raccoon stretches his scrotum and he rides to heaven on his scrotum. Like, he just makes a point of that. That's so distasteful. Pompoko is such a great movie, I think. And to dismiss it as like, oh, it uses the testicles, it's very weird and traumatizing. Like, what the fuck? And like you're saying that the Tanuki using their ball sacks is a flaw of the film. That is what I was taking from your video. And that's so stupid to call that a flaw. To consider that a negative point. Like, and also he makes an allusion that it's like, it reminds me of this other film, but that film wasn't targeted at children or something like it isn't you don't find this in a kids film. Just blanket calling Pompoko a kids film. What? Because it's animated? How dare you? It was just really obnoxious. I did not like it. Not good. But hey, check it out if you if maybe you disagree with me. Because this, I can see other people being like, yeah, I think he's totally fair. But it's just like, he doesn't give. I think his negative. It's another one of those instances of like the negatives so strongly are so much stronger articulated than the positives. It's so easy to be like, this film looks gorgeous. Like, he talks about how Howl is like a feast for the eyes, but like, you're not selling me on that as much as you're selling me on how much you really dig into all the problems Howl has and how you didn't understand any complaints about the final twist about Scarecrow guy being the prince and shit like that. It's like, I know, fuck. And it's not like he's gonna, I think he mentioned at one point, he's like, I'm talking about the Ghibli canon. I don't think he's gonna check out Nazca and Cagliostro, is he? Fuck. Well, I got a request video from Ian. Wanted me to talk about a Robobuddies video, or, well, I guess she rebranded her channel to Red Van Bushkirk. I wonder if that's her real name. Interesting. Sonic X, a lengthy diatribe from Robobuddies. But I saw this video when it came out. I've been subscribed to her. She's really great. But I think she basically quit being a YouTuber, which is too bad. Because I think she made pretty decent content. Mostly talked about cartoons and criticism and stuff like that. How it had, the spicy Steven Universe take. And, I thought that was a good video, though. But, yeah, this Sonic X video. When I watched it at first, I really enjoyed it. And then rewatching it, I'm just more bothered, again, very predictably, I'm very bothered by her criticisms of Sonic X. I'm not a big Sonic X stan, by any stretch. Definitely not. I've seen the show. And I totally get where she's coming from, and I do like her talking about the animation inconsistencies and kind of theory crafting why that might be, because she looks at Anime News Network and sees there's one in-between checker that's credited. It's the only one that you can see. You don't know if there's more. Maybe there is, especially because there's so many of these subsidiaries and stuff. I guess it's sort of a valid reason to find an explanation of why the show looks so bad, but it just comes off as nitpicky to me, and you're kind of in yikesy territory if you're specifically citing off ANN and shit like that, when ANN is so well known for, not well known, I guess, obviously, but it's known to be inaccurate at times, because it's completely fan contributed. It's like Wikipedia. I'm not saying inherently with Wikipedia. It's just so long as you can really back it up. But anyway, yeah. So I do like her talking about the animation problems in that way, but like she really overblows it. She really is like, it's disgusting. Like she's like, it's a trap. Like I feel so bad for people who had to work on the show. It's like, you know, it's like, I don't know. It was weird. But I do still like her talking, and she can carry through a video fairly well. Although I don't know if the beginning part of her summarizing what happens in the show to be all that compelling and necessary. It doesn't seem like anything, doesn't contribute to anything. It's just kind of a thing. I don't know how she justifies it, but it just kind of felt weird to me. But, you know, the one that really bothered me was her talking about Chris Thorndike. Because I get it. Annoying character. Entitled, whatever. She labels a lot of things on him. But she only uses one example of why any of this is true. She's not... None of the footage that she shows here has any indication of that, of what she says as being entitled. He makes things worse. Can you point to a moment where he legit makes things worse, besides the one you showed? And she clearly was not paying attention to the episode after this moment. So the main example she cites is when Chris shuts off this machine that is supposed to send Sonic to another world, so it cuts him off, and then he takes Sonic away and they run away together. And he kidnaps him. But obviously Sonic can obviously break away from him if he wants. But he clearly cares enough about Chris to go along with his plan and stuff and be like, so if you want me to stay, you can just say it. You don't have to, and she clearly just doesn't pay attention to that entire episode afterwards. Because obviously, the button pushing is a cliffhanger for one episode, and then the other episode is them running away together. And from what the clips she was showing, talking over how bad this is, it kind of looked kind of interesting. Because it's certainly a different change of pace from most other Sonic media, I would imagine. But it just felt really baseless, and I didn't get her argument whatsoever. And I was not believing it, and it wasn't great. I was not having a good time with the video, to be honest with you. And then, of course, she wins me back over with talking about how great the third season of Sonic is, because the animation is better. But that's the thing. Here's another thing, right? She spends the majority of the video shitting on Sonic X. And then she's like, look, I turned it around. It's actually great. But it's like less than a third. It's like a fourth or a fifth of the video. Or I might be miscalculating that. But it just seems the majority of it is shitting on this show. But the third season's great. And then, she says the animation's great in places. Shows like one example. Doesn't go into the detail that she went in with the previous two seasons. You see what I mean? Like, she's taking so much time really getting it through to you that these are not good. But the third season, no, definitely watch it. It's great, guys. Shows like one example, like nothing. You really need to counteract that. You need to have it be as long, in my opinion. This is just me with me in the video making process and stuff. Like, if you're gonna make an argument like this, don't think that you've completely turned it around and then only include like a portion of you know what I mean? Like, it's an uneven argument. You have so much evidence on one hand, and then you say this, it's like, but the third season's good, and you don't provide any evidence. Or like, you know, especially because you don't want to spoil anything. You're totally cool with spoiling the first 2 seasons of Sonic because everyone knows it, which isn't true. It's just not. Like, it's completely different, as you do mention. Like, it's, I don't know. You also don't mention, like, although maybe it's in battle. It's a video game, but like the Cream and Cheese's companion, the robot guy that turns evil, that was a great arc. What happened to that? You don't mention him one time. And to dismiss the Asian butler as an Asian stereotype without even giving you any, besides one voice clip. Like, sorry, okay. Does he say anything that makes it a stereotype? I don't know. Or it's just like, it doesn't, I don't know. It just bothered me. It's just it's another YouTuber-y thing that's like, I've watched a lot of, like, this is a kind of a theme for this video and the next video I'm going to talk about and a couple others, where it's like, you really seem like YouTuber-y. And it's like the writing here is just plateauing. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like authentic. It doesn't feel really personal and like from a person's perspective. And I think that's really key when making a YouTube video, personally. Unless you are really going out of your way to be informative and utilitarian. But in that case, you really have to dial back your personal opinion and your emotion, really reel that in and really look at the whole thing. It's like Frederick Nixon. Those are very entertaining videos, but it's not because he paints the entire situation very, very thoroughly without like his opinion and swaying how bad this thing is, right? So it's like you really have to find that balance, I think. But if you're gonna be personal, be personal. Really talk about you and your experience. I felt really bad watching this episode of Sonic and Chris going through this, you know, Chris trying to kidnap Sonic, because I was just so frustrated that he would do. You have to really kind of come from you and not be like, this episode's bad. You know what I mean? It's just kind of obnoxious, personally. But I think Robobuddies is really, I do really like the animation she has, and the scenario she sets up for this in-betweener is very, very compelling. If not for the fact that that's running under the assumption there is one in-between checker, which, like, we don't know that for sure. There's if there's one that's credited, but obviously there's 16 of these sub-studios, and maybe they have in-betweener checkers too, and they just did a poor job. I don't know. But, like, I think she can be very compelling, I think. But yeah, it's just kind of my bias on it with negativity and stuff. And even when being positive, I don't think the positive was all that strong. I like that she was being positive about the 3rd season, but she could have gone into, like, you know, what was great about it, and from a storytelling perspective. Like, they fixed Chris. Really? I don't know. Because again, it's like a lot of this is like so much time spent, but like there's not much detail behind it. Personally, it's just like, Anyway, but yeah, it was good. I did enjoy it for a second time, but I was noticing more of the not so great in my opinion. But I enjoyed it. Thank you for requesting it. Okay, now for the videos I thought were decent. Like, you know, yeah. I got a video from Breadsword. I'm putting this in decent for a very specific reason. Gurren Lagann and getting it. Obviously, this is kind of intimidating for me as someone making a giant Gurren Lagann video, and seeing other people's perspective, and being like, "Am I wrong?" You know what I mean? Or the yikes over like somebody saying this thing before I say it, kind of thing. And he does mention information that I was going to mention in my video, of course, specifically about Gynax. But God, I'm not going to say it like that. So what really kind of sinks this video into decent for me is the first half being really a lot. Kind of obnoxious. The editing, Bianjavli has talked about this with me when he's like, hey, have you seen this? And he's like, I stopped at like 6 minutes in because they have to show something remotely relative to the exact word or phrase that they're saying. Kind of like exclamation point, except exclamation point is at least kind of layering them on top in kind of a somewhat interesting way. So making kind of a unique composition. But this is full screen, like, clips and, like, various things, and is jumping between so much media. Like, so much! Like, live action and everything. Whatever. And, yeah, it's like 10 minutes of that. It's really annoying. But then it does wean off that pretty significantly, I think. But, yeah, it was just very sensationalist, the way he was talking about Gainax. And when it's like clearly you're not really like being level-headed with this and you're just trying to sell us something is kind of what I was getting at. And doesn't thankfully does not mention the significance Ava has to Gurren Lagann in the way I'm going to talk about it. Because the way he talks about it is very much like what many people think about Ava, which is it's a sister series. They made Gurren Lagann in response to Ava. Definitely. And kind of. So, it has nothing to do with Ava itself. It actually doesn't have almost anything to do with Ava. It has one surface level thing, which is just Shinji was being an unwilling pilot, which is not even original to Ava. That's a Mobile Suit Gundam thing. But it's really the audience wanted that kind of show, Evangelion specifically. Damn lawnmower. I'm not gonna spoil my video. I'm sorry. But it doesn't have to do with what Ava talks about thematically or the content of the show itself. It really was more to do with a metatextual thing of what the show represented for the studio at the time, being its first breakthrough fucking success, like the big hit they always wanted. It's a whole thing after that, but and that's a little more to do with. It's more of a metatextual thing than it is like Ava, you know what I mean? And he talks about Ava a fair deal here, a little too much. And he doesn't really start talking about Gurren Lagann. He doesn't really start talking about He doesn't really start talking about Gurren Lagann until like 10 minutes or 12 minutes in a 15-minute video, granted, but that's really a long time. That's kind of a lot, or even longer probably, because there was a big chunk that he's talking about Ava specifically. And when he finally gets to it, he has to talk about the opening, and he talks about it a lot, like way too much. He makes this point of like, there's a pattern in mecha anime where they have to show the main character first. Alone. And here's a bunch of examples like that. And I'm like, huh? Wait, what? And Gurren Lagann, actually, it's a break from that formula. It's interesting. But it's like, it has 3 openings. And did they all open like that? I don't remember them doing that. Not really. Anyway. But it was just a weird observation to start out with after like 15 minutes of your video. Like, get on with it. But at a certain point, he starts getting very introspective. Very introspective. Talking, and he kind of has this little back and forth narration with the show's kind of opening narration a little bit. It's around that point that it gets really good, where he's talking about his father, him talking about his group of friends and his mental state at the time, and his personal journey, and it was great. I really like the personal stuff, you know me. And this was one of the best I've seen in that regard. Specifically dealing with the death. Oh, the lawnmower. Specifically dealing with the death of his father. And kind of paralleling it to Kamen a little bit. As well as, I really liked this one parallel he kind of made, and this is more of a visual parallel, but he doesn't outright state it. because that'd be a little corny. But he's showing footage from episode 9 with Simone being very erratic and angry and feeling overloaded with responsibility and the whole thing. And he's kind of vomiting and shit like that. And he's kind of in this really distressed state. And that was his description of kind of him talking about he felt burnt out on making YouTube videos, and he had so much pressure because he had so much sudden attention, because he's the guy that did the Treasure Planet video, if you happen to know that. He has 5.7 million views. It's insanely popular. Like, it blew. That's something that blew up, okay? And that really kind of set this expectation and standard, and like he just got so much pressure from it, I think. But it was really interesting to hear from Matt and to hear more about his process. Like, yeah, I still made videos, but I was scrapping so many of them, so many ideas, and I couldn't, you know what I mean? It was really good, actually, hearing about that, because that's super unique and engaging, and compelling, you know. But the rest of it is very like YouTuber-y, again, where it's like a Gynax was formed by these 5 people and shit like that. I'm hopefully not gonna do that. I really, because I know my audience. My audience is people like you guys, that it's like, yeah, we know. What do you got to say about it, right? You gotta, and it's like, because yeah, you can be catering to this newbie audience and whatever, but I think the newbie audience can take it if they can, you know. But it's like there's so much of this information, and the way he was framing it and stuff, it was just really tedious, and get on with it. But that second half, fantastic. The editing wasn't so obnoxious either beyond Joe. It was actually not that. It was when he was just doing Gurren Lagann stuff, his clip selection was really good. I actually was really liking it. I was like, damn, my clip selections were really predictable in comparison, actually, because he was pulling some really good stuff. I was like, wait, there's a clip like that? Damn. First, you know, so but you know, that be the way. But yeah, I did enjoy this video by the end of it. But yeah, I mean, it is hard to kind of get into, but I would say give it a shot. It gets better. It does get better. I do really like the second half. So yeah, check it out. This is your weekly reminder to check out the Animator Dormitory channel. They put out a part 1 of why low wages for animators hasn't changed in decades. It's kind of weird to see that all in lowercase. But it's very bare bones at this point. They're not doing as many drawings necessarily. It really is the one guy talking about this very candidly. And I really like what he was talking about, where it's very hard to speak up in terms of like when there's a problem in the industry like this. Because there's a very common saying in Japan that the nail sticking up gets hammered down, shit like that. And he was making kind of an analogy with him being in the founder here being in the United States, and they were in Walmart, and there's this the clerk at the desk was like moved a cake, and they kind of tossed it, and it wasn't very nice of, you know. And he's like, if that happened in Japan, that person would be fired. 100%. Because we have just insanely high standards. The customers are treated like royalty. But in exchange for that, the workers are treated like fucking trash. And it very much applies to the anime industry. So it really stinks that this is kind of the environment they're in. And it's very hard to change and hard to do anything about. Which is why a lot of these industry people in the West are especially just like, yeah, I mean, you can complain about it and definitely make a stink about it, but it's like, that is really hard to systematically change, because they can just be like, yeah, all right, we won't work with you anymore. That's fine. And the fact that they have these animators being exploited because they love anime so much and they want to make anime, and they're just exploiting the love anime that these fans have, not only to sustain their own, not only to like get new talent, but to sustain their own business. Because you think about the people that are actually buying it are the hardcore otaku, so they're going to only make shows that are appealing to those fans, and it's a very vicious, parasitic sort of cycle, sort of deal, where it's, I don't know. maybe that wasn't the right phrasing, but you know what I mean? It just sucks. And it was good hearing about that. And they're very responsive with the comments and everything. They were responding to some comments and addressing comments in their videos, being like, yes, we hear that like Germany did it very well here, but Germany is not Japan. Shit like that. And it is very interesting. So yeah, of course. And, you know, this is a very small bite thing. I don't know why they split it into a part 1. It's really, I think it's because they want to make videos under 8 minutes or like less than 10 minutes in general to keep them on the shorter side. Fair, but not super substantial to really give it a best in that way. Meh. Suki Official put out a video. We're on the cusp, and they're like, is my video going to be on the digest next week? And I'm like, no guarantees. But yeah, why not? I was like, yeah, I'll check it out, especially if it's about Wataten. I was sad, so I rewatched Wataten, talking about kind of being stuck in a rut creatively, and then getting happy again because they watched one of their favorite shows. I don't know if it's one of their favorites exactly, but it seemed like that. And really just generally talking very positively about Wataten. Without many FBI jokes. I really appreciate it. Now, like, yeah, because like this show really does kind of... It's not like a popular beating horse, thankfully. A lot of people kind of didn't really associate with it or didn't check it out. But I think it's really cute. It looks really cute. I do want to watch it. I really need to get around to it. Because, you know, the designs look super cute. The voice acting's great, which... This is kind of Suki's specialty, is talking about the seiyus very specifically. I wish there was even more detail. Like, you seem to know a lot about it and watch a lot of their interviews. So maybe you could have said something of, like, how they approached this character. Instead of, like, she's so great, she's so cute. You know what I mean? And it's totally cool if this is more of a video for you to detox. So you're not necessarily, like, big, important thing or whatever like that. I understand. But it's, like, I think you have the capacity to do even better. Where it's, like, you seem to know a lot. You seem to know the right places to look, and you're watching these interviews with these seiyus and their shows and stuff like that. You're really into it, and that's a very rare voice to have. I think I may have said that before somewhere. I don't know, but like that's a really interesting perspective. I would love to see that even more instead of just this person voiced this character. It seems kind of there seems to be more behind that, and it's like I would like more of that personally. But this was a nice little thing here. I enjoyed it. Good shit. Looking forward to the next couple videos. I'm not sure if I'm going to check out the Minecraft one, but whatever. Oh my gosh. Is that what I think it is? It's a video from Mr. FalconPunch. And this guy's actually on like the Anitube tier list, which I've been reminiscing about a little bit because I'm going to get to that at some point. It'll be very interesting. But, you know, it was funny because, like, I recognized Mr. FalconPunch as, you know, as an Anituber, but, like, hardly anyone kind of talks about him, and he doesn't seem very active in the community, I don't think. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm fucking stupid. I apologize. I do know. But this is a video we put out, some random comedy manga recommendations. Pretty, you know, generic title, generic, you know, subject matter, and the editing's not all that special. I think it could look banging if you'd ask me. I've been making some manga videos recently, and there's one I'll talk about a little later. But there's ways you can make this kind of cool looking, I think, and really sell people this manga you're talking about. But the content itself, like how he talks about these mangas, very, very good. I think it's very sound. I really like the recommendations too. They're very niche. They're not watch Nichijou. You know what I mean? Like it's very deep cuts. At least these seem like deep cuts to me. I'm not very much of a manga person, but these looked really interesting and good. It was a very comfy time. I did enjoy it. Again, I do think there could be a little more to the visual presentation of this, and maybe, I don't know, but it's like some random comedy manga recommendations doesn't excite me all that much as a title. I more clicked on this because it was you that was uploading it. I was like, oh shit, I haven't checked out a video from this guy. Yeah, good shit. But you know, and you know, there are certain threads here and there that I'm like, I'd like to hear more about that, or like, because I really like your parallel with this one manga about the Yakuza that gets really tiny, or was it the third one you mentioned? I don't remember. It was what? Oh, the Hokuto Shinken Masseuse. guy. That was really interesting. But it's like, and you mentioned how like it reminds me a lot of Cromartie, where it's like, I think you kind of have something that maybe you've already made this video and I'm just stupid, but you make something kind of like Cromartie, comedy manga that are like Cromartie, and stuff like that. And I think there are some picks you could definitely go with. I'm thinking Detroit Metal City was one of those that I always had that feel of, that tangible quality that Cromartie sort of has. But yeah, anyway, I mean, I just think there could be some ways to really hone the focus. This really just seems like out of the blue because you were working on another video and you happen to read these 4 manga at the same time. That was the only connection with them, besides that and the fact that they're comedy. But if you find a little stronger of a through line, there might be more like people willing to check your video out. Not like I know anything about SEO. I am not the person to ask when it comes to successful videos. Absolutely not. But I don't know. Just something kind of interesting. Just something to tell. Yeah. Anyway, I enjoyed this video though. Just check it out because I mean, you might not have heard of any of these. I just really didn't hear of any of these comedy manga beforehand, and they do look really interesting. It's good shit. Manime Matt talked about Ouran High School Host Club, and deadass, I had a gun right on the video. I'm like, don't you fucking dare, because it's one of my favorite anime. It's one of my first too, and you do mention that, and I really liked that at the beginning where you were talking about your significance with Ouran, and what it means for you as a show. I really enjoyed that. Although it did take you like 3 minutes to actually start talking about Ouran specifically. Out of a 10-minute video, it's like, can you get to it, please? Because I think maybe it's more off the cuff. Maybe you're talking about this off the cuff. Maybe I don't know, but it's kind of like, could you or disperse the things you were gonna say in this first couple minutes throughout the video? I don't know, just make it a little more balanced. But, I think you did make some decent observations about Ouran. Some that I don't necessarily agree with, like whether Haruhi's dad ages that well. I have no horse in the race of whether that's poor taste or not. Of what it is the show, but I think both in the sub and the dub kind of illustrate or label Haruhi's dad as a transvestite because he is a guy, and he doesn't. I don't think he's acting as Haruhi's mom in that way. I think it's just a thing he likes to do. So I don't know. I really don't know the terminology and like whether it's kosher or not. But it seemed to me that it was just like, because I rewatched Ouran actually a couple months ago actually. So it was interesting that we both rewatched Ouran after a long time. I don't know if I necessarily agree. I'm not going to fully go with the argument like, yeah or no, you're wrong or whatever. I was just a little uneasy about how much of that is really aged or anything like that. And I do agree with a lot of your thing was like the twins are more main characters than like Mori and Kyoya. Although Kyoya, I think is fairly in there. I think he gets enough time to make him feel like a main character. I like your observations. Otherwise, you were saying that like your new upload schedule. I don't know if that was just a patron only thing that you talked about with them, but I can definitely tell something's up. I mean, maybe there's a video where you talked about it a little more in depth. I didn't really click on much of it because it's like, it's not really a show I'm interested in or the subject in particular. Obviously it's Ouran. It's one of my favorites. It's still in my top 10, so of course I'm gonna fucking check it out. But yeah, you do seem to have broken away from the thumbnail, your thumbnail thing. I'm not sure how I'm not sure if I like it personally, but there does seem to be a difference in your demeanor and your content. I'm a little vague on exactly what and why, but obviously I shouldn't be expecting that in this particular video. I'm just not hip with the times, really. But I am curious. I don't know exactly where you explain that, but I am interested. Because at least that means that there's kind of room for more experimentation and maybe some cool things. That is one of the reasons why you say, like, he says, like, in my old schedule, I wouldn't have been able to talk about Oron. And it's like, yeah, your old schedule? Yeah, the one that, like, a lot of us were kind of like, man, Matt's kind of, I don't know if this is the right move for him, kind of thing. But it does seem that you're kind of shaking things up a lot, and it is interesting. It's not super radically different. It doesn't seem, because the content is still kind of coming out, like, really consistently, which is a good thing. Consistency is a good thing. I should, I mean, I should know. I'm trying to make this show consistent. Anyway, but I am interested. It was interesting. But yeah, fine video on Oron. I liked it. CDawgVA had a kind of a shitposty little fun thing. I hosted a voice acting talent show, and it's not remotely as structured as I think he was intending. I think he says, like, it actually went way off the rails and it was more just kind of a fun thing to do, and it was really fun, actually. I think the only reason I'm putting it in decent is more just because it's very chaotic and shitposty, it seems, a little bit, or just like, it's just for fun, But I do like the elements that are in it, which is coming together. The three judges don't even, which is Anime Man, another guy I don't really know who, and CDawg, but they don't really necessarily critique or comment all that much. They just react to the voice acting, which is fun. It is really fun. There's some people who are more gimmicky. It felt like the American Idol first couple of episodes of a season where it's just randos coming in and like, whoa, what crazy thing are they gonna do, sort of thing. That was fun. I did enjoy this. It's kind of something. I just wish there was a little more structure or a little more like specific thing to it. And I think he realized it. I think he intended something like that, but the execution didn't end up coming out that way. But it's still a fun time, still a fun communal thing to give some exposure to other people. I don't know if he necessarily links people's Twitters or the various voice actors in the description or anything, or like, because they didn't have names. There was no names in the video itself. It was just their Discord icon, and then like represented by something as well. That's a chaotic thing to edit, by the way. Kudos to the editor. I will not be like, I think it's Evan. I want to say it's Evan this time. But we'll see. Yeah, but I really liked it. It was a fun time. It just felt like a little structureless. It was just kind of like, oh, this is neat. This is kind of fun little haha. And nothing's wrong with a little haha sometimes. Don't get me wrong. And I'm going to talk about Under the Scope's video on Flip Flappers. Although he doesn't put it in the description. The most creative anime, A Limitless Wonderland. To be honest, I don't have too much to say about it. I think beyond the kind of the first edit is really cool. And the rest of the edit is, there's some nice little transitions here and there and some very good clip selection. Just pretty tight video from Nice, always getting better and stuff. But I was thinking when I was first clicking on this video, and I'm like, I wonder if he's going to be challenging himself the way he was with the Land of Lustrous video. It doesn't seem all that much challenging and kind of new foray into something weird and different. That's okay. You don't have to. It's like what it be, what it do. Although I do feel like commission-wise for Nice in terms of that, Jeff's videos are the ones where it's kind of plug and play, and you can kind of just get the raw practice of it. But I feel like Under the Scope is really your opportunity to have more of a bold visual presentation and something a little more experimental, maybe. I mean, cool, granted, Jack's okay with that, but it's like, it's a very polished video. It's very well presented, but it doesn't necessarily have this like I feel like there was something really, really, really promising with Landlust and your Anime Awards video, which I get takes forever to do, and I know you can't do that every day. I totally get that. But even like little things where it's like, let's try this, or little trying different things. And I do think there's some of that here and there, but again, the title card, but the majority of the video feels pretty uniform. I I did enjoy it there, you know, that being said. This just wasn't as wowed by it. Yeah, I'm sorry, you know, it's like, well, you don't have to be wowed by everything. So I get it. But I think it was obviously, you know, to the nines with your performance in terms of, you know, I think it's, yeah, you're obviously the single most workhorse editor of any of us doing it, I think. Although, you know, some of these people doing Nux's videos kind of give you a run for their money just for the sheer amount of quantity and low-key level of bullshit. Like, some of the most, like, ridiculous things that Nux has to have them edit and stuff like that. Some things like that can be like, so like that could be a little more workhorsey in that way. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. And then otherwise with Jack, like, the video content itself, I'm happy that it didn't feel like much of another flip-flopper video for some reason. The specific stuff you were focusing on is more of the world and what it presents you as an experience. The Limitless Wonderland thing. Although I don't know if it necessarily lived up to the idea of it being the most creative anime. It feels a little hyperbolic in that way. I would have loved to see something where it's like kind of more systemic. I don't know. Maybe that was what you were, and I didn't personally get that, and maybe not a major complaint to have, but yeah, I think it's certainly a decent video. Cool. Okay, let's talk about what I think are the best videos of the week. You know, just stuff that was like I was really fucking vibing with. So I was like, oh yeah. And I gotta say, well, look, you know, this is 2 weeks in a row that I'm shilling something that I'm a part of, but you know, I wanted to push this somewhere, just to get more I don't know, because it's cool. It's a Studio Taka video that I edited myself, called Berserk, Who is the Moonlight Boy? It's one of their lore videos. It's a whole production. This is to bide their fans over and to kind of have some content on their channel while they very, very, very slowly can finally put out episode 2. It's a long time. Makes sense. I'm not really here to talk about that, though. But this is a whole production, actually. This is like a lore team, several people researching and writing the video, and then they have a separate person, one of their voice actors, doing the audio narration, and she's really good here. I will admit it's a wee bit pretentious. The phrasing is just really rich. it's a little richer. It kind of annoyed me in the first video I edited for them. It was just like, you know. But this felt a little better. It felt a little more natural. But I certainly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed editing for it too. I did some cool tricks. So it's kind of some cool, nice things, and they certainly liked it. So I was happy to make something for them. It's certainly a good experience. I definitely because this particular subject matter of the Moonlight Boy, of Guts and Casca's son, honestly, it goes through so many phases, and they're still really kind of shrouded in mystery about it, and Miura hasn't really cracked it open quite yet. This video not only really explains it, really gets it through to you. Is like, okay, this is what happens. And it's all very textual. It's all very text-based. It's not like crap theory anything. It's really like, yeah, this is this much evidence. No bullshit. It's really good in that way. And it really aligns exactly what the purpose of the Moonlight Boy is in this story. And look, I am one of those Berserk fans that kind of don't care about Berserk after the Golden Age arc. I really am okay with it ending at Eclipse. I'm really just a 97 fanboy. That being said, I do respect the rest of Berserk. I'm just more in the camp of like, yeah, it's gotta finish first, you know? Because like, that felt, the Golden Age arc and all that area felt so self-contained and a tragedy. And that's all its thing. But then this is more like a sequel. It feels like a sequel, more like, even though it's one big story. But this stuff like this, pointing this stuff out, and the stuff that Miura is really doing here is really incredible, and really makes you respect the story that he's telling here. And I can actually imagine why it's taking him so long, and kind of spacing some stuff out, because, and granted, he's had long enough to really figure this stuff out. But this video is great, not just for really explaining this subject, but it gets you hype for the next chapter. Because the 2 chapters prior, this really specific event really clicks everything together, and it has irrefutable evidence of a really major point in the story, which I'm not really going to spoil for you. If you see, this has Berserk spoilers, by the way. Duh. But it's great, and the conclusion is really like, it's happening, like this is gonna boil over any second. This is happening. Really, really important stuff for the future of Berserk, and it might be what Skull Knight is going to be talking to Guts about when we finally get him to start fucking talking. So let's really look forward to. So, good hype video in that sense, and a really informative video too, and not badly made, if I do say so myself. It actually has original composed music specifically for the motion comic in it. I mix a little of the original soundtrack in it, the 97 soundtrack, but most of the tracks are from this particular motion comic that they have. They lent me some of their full orchestrations for. I had to loop some of them, but it's nice. It's really nice. I really enjoy it, if I do say so myself. Digi-nee! First video in the new Digi. He transitioned, and for the longest time Digi was not using the word trans, and then I did finally see a reply somewhere replying to one of Vindy's videos. I didn't really it's funny, there was at least 2 videos that were posted about Digi's transition before he even really made an announcement on his own channel. Like, he changed his profile picture, and also, yeah, so Digi is trans, but doesn't seem to care what pronoun is used. If they want me to use she, I will. But I'm so obviously used to using he. I won't say Digi-bro, because that's not the name anymore. But I can still call him Digi. But, I do respect the move. There are people that have problems with it, and I'm not really going to discuss those videos because they didn't necessarily want the attention, but I did talk to them about it. But I'm a fence sitter. I'm in the middle. That's an inside joke with the Discord server I'm in. That I am kind of a fence sitter. I'm kind of in the middle on a lot of things because I want to be friends with everybody. I do want to talk with people on both aisles because we're all human beings, and I don't want to take a side. I just think that's really petty. I'll believe what I want to believe. I might have it. I want to try to be a mix of both and really what's in my gut. But for me in this situation, at the end of the day, I don't have any control of what Digi does or what these other people feel. So it's really not like I can't really do anything about it. And I'm not really going to push all that strongly for or against it. It's like, well, it happened. Maybe Digi's doing it for attention. Sure. Kind of seems like I get that, because the way Digi announced this was, should I change my name to Digi-nee? And it wasn't even like a question, but it's more like a thing. And it again, that there isn't any formal announcement of it on the channel yet. Not like I need one or anything like that, but the way this is actually the first video that Digi uploaded with this new moniker. I don't know if moniker is really the right word. Identity? Sure. In Digi's new identity, magical girls fighting evil by moonlight, kind of fitting, if you ask me. And the only mention that Digi talks about is that she's wearing a skirt. That Digi's wearing a skirt. That's kind of it. And if you didn't have any context earlier, it's like, what? I don't know exactly how overall they were. Sorry if this is suddenly so much about. This is kind of a big deal. It is kind of That's another thing. It's not that much of a surprise either. That's the thing, right? But there is enough to talk about. I haven't really talked about the video itself, which I really enjoyed, again, in this style of otaku gonzo journalism sort of thing. Having multiple screens and then kind of going around Digi's place, showing various things, and kind of talking in a very similar script kind of thing. I really like it. I appreciate that that Digi uses my video to show Ojimata Doremi. I really appreciate that. Sure, yeah, I'm biased. That's correct. But yeah, like I like this. I like Digi talking about this a lot. Coming a little more from an outside perspective, it feels like. I don't know if Digi's necessarily consumed enough. Like, there's no such thing as consuming enough, right? But it does feel more like on an aesthetics basis and not as a like having seen all these shows, therefore kind of deal. I mean, you know, she's seen plenty of Nanaha at least, so that counts for something. But no, yeah, I thought this was really good vibes and interesting way, and I guess this is more of a thing for me to talk about this whole drama, I suppose. Drama. It's not even that much of a drama, really. Come on. I'll talk about drama in a second, actually. Whew! But, I really like this, and I'm just looking forward to more of this style. It's sick. It's really cool, even if it's just a phase. not the transition thing. We don't know if that's a phase yet. Can you understand why we might think that? You know, because specifically with the content, there's so many arcs, and it's an arc, right? This feels like an arc to your life. I wish the best of luck. It's really exciting. I think it already seems like the Digi's going to be a lot more healthier because like they're working out and like really trying to look more in their image, and like I don't know. It's like it looks like they're having a better time. I'm kind of gravitating to they now because I'm indecisive. I'm sitting on the fence. I guess no, but sorry if it was mostly about that and not so much the video. To be fair, I watched it when it came out and didn't rewatch it. My bad. But I did enjoy it a lot. Good shit. But yeah, speaking of drama, Pantsu Party still at it with May. Mia Mafova with content cunt. A journey in self-awareness. At first I didn't click on this video. I don't remember why. I think it's just the description or just... I think the branding is strange. I didn't really get it. And I was like, But thank God I did. So that was... Oh, man. I haven't had tea that good in forever. It's Pantsu Party going after a certain individual on kiwi farms for talking shit about herself, about May and Digi. And making an interesting... you know, obviously, like, really breaks it out at the end, but kind of playing as if... It's weird. I heard my other friend was having a similar time and, like, having a lot of these parallels and stuff, but she's basically calling out Tenlead for making these comments anonymously and then just outing herself. It's like, just say it. It's just... If you have these problems, if you're gonna, like... Oh, Jeff's the A-tier girlfriend, or I don't know, is making these comments, then say them publicly. Don't be like on kiwi farms. And it had that vibe of a content cop, if you're familiar with iDubbbz's infamous series that I do miss. I do miss greatly. The H3H3 drama has been kind of nostalgic in that way. But man, yeah. That I have to say, Pantsu does a really good job here. This was really especially impressive because it's just like, it's so systematic and cutting and entertaining. That's the thing with these drama things. It's like, again, we're all spectators. We don't have any say in what happens unless we really want to get in there or something, or really start taking it, whatever. But, you know, to see this happen, it needs to be, at least make it entertaining. At least don't make it seem like shitting and kind of like wallowing in anger. I really like how kind of almost tasteful that Pantsu Party actually is able to kind of make this, where it's like, it seems so like, huh, it's interesting you say that, where it's like, you know, it has this like, this formal way of speaking and everything, and I like the skit at the beginning, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. I don't have any race. I don't care all that much about it. I'm not like, yeah, Tenlead gets her comeuppance. I really am not like that. I think if anyone had this, or, you know, unless I personally know them, I don't really know this. I don't really know Tenlead. I've just kind of seen some of her content and stuff. Although, I was very happy I saw this video because it revealed to me what I was thinking about last week with Jeff, of like, something's going on. And he has not talked about it. But at least according to Tenlead, in the tweets that Pantsu Party is talking about here, Jeff seems to be occupied with his father being in the hospital. Seems to be pretty serious, to the point where Jeff has to be constantly going there, and Tenlead has to take a lot of responsibility and a lot of extra things. So I really, that's really tough, and I'm my condolences to Jeff going through that. It's nothing too, it doesn't seem to be the worst case scenario yet, but and I have literally no other basis for knowing. So I don't even know. It's just from the information of this video of tweets that Pantsu was showing here, I was like, oh, that's what's going on. Damn. So it's like, yeah, that's perfectly understandable. And it also kind of makes sense why he's not being so public about it. I'm sorry to make it more public by talking about it here, but my reach is not that big, so fuck it. And besides, Tenlead tweeted it publicly to way more Twitter followers than I have on this platform or my Twitter, so it's like, whatever. If you want it to be common knowledge, then fine. I don't know. Anyway, I really liked this video from Pantsu Party. It was probably my favorite I've seen of her so far, actually. I just think she was great at it. I don't know if and it makes sense that you made it because it's targeted towards you, but I have to say, you're really good at that. Not that I'm like, more please, but I don't know. I think you're really good at that. I think you have a talent for that, particularly. Some people think they have a talent for it, you know, and it's kind of annoying and cringy. There's a couple YouTubers that are like that. I feel like Senpai's here and HeroHei and stuff like that really try to call these people out and stuff, and it's so constant. It's so annoying. But I think you're really good at this, actually. I really enjoyed that. Nice. Really good shit. Anime House 4! Anime House 4! I'm already SeaWorld 1. I already talked about 3 when it came out, and I'm going to talk about 4. Because it's great, and you should watch it. Especially because it's expanding the world. It was way less skits this time. It actually felt like it was genuinely setting things up, and there was more interconnected things going on. It just still has its occasional sketches and like kind of funny things. Like there's a scene of Ichigo. He's like, yeah, you know my anime's coming back, right? So I gotta get a new opening to get really hype to get people coming back. And he's sitting at a desk with the audio engineer person. He's like, hey, give me a good OP. And he's playing OPs and like some J-Rock songs. He's, nah, it's not good enough. And then they find one really good. But the kicker, the really funny part, is Asta walks in. And he's like, so give me another opening. And he's like, I gave you an opening last week. Yeah, I need another one. Commenting on like all the hype OPs that Black Clover constantly gets. It's really, really, really funny. And like the characters the actor is acting a lot like Asta's, kind of a hyperbolic version of him, where he's constantly yelling and he's like demanding and shit. It's really funny. But it's like they're developing some characters more. There's some stuff going on with Yusuke. There's a whole new arc is happening with Vegeta because he's suddenly getting really angry, and he's getting kind of like fed up of this scenario they have where this kind of fictional idea of characters being at different houses. And I don't know if it was in the other 2 episodes. It wasn't in episode 3, but like at least in episode 3, you have this idea of like, oh, it's just the anime house. They have one house, and then Avatar gets kicked out of it or whatever, or like no, it was like certain anime are getting kicked out of it, and then like anime's like Avatar tries to come in, like, you're not anime, get the fuck out, you know. But then in this episode, not only is there a cartoon house that gets shown, and there's like an upcoming arc where they're going to try to face off against the anime house because he brings over like Teen Titans and Ben 10, and they're all in like their little house and shit, and like Samurai Jackson there too. But also a villain house with all the villain, like there's a villain house, anime house, and shit like that. It was really funny. It's just so much more thought out, and there's shit going on. It feels like an actual, like, genuine episode of something. It didn't even feel like 28 minutes either. It just felt really dense. It was really funny and, like, well performed and fun. I really love it. These guys are getting better and better. I think it's awesome that we have players like this. It's really great. It's awesome. I can't really say too much else about it. I think it's really great. Genuinely check it out for yourself. I mean, start with, like, I actually haven't seen Anime House 1 and 2. I should. I really should. But yeah, I loved this. Oh my god. It might be the best video of the week, but I'm going to be a little biased this time. I'm going to give it to GilLiesHere for tanky modernity. Oh man. Talk about a YouTuber that could just keep pumping out the same thing and being like totally cool because everything they make is super dope regardless. And it's another to see them really challenge and push barriers and okay, what else can I do? And how much further can I take this idea or my voice and my style? And Gil is really going on another level here. Not simply for the narration that he includes here. In like the last third, it kind of suddenly switches styles. It's completely different certain thing, and he's talking very encrypted, kind of cryptically. I'll admit, maybe a little bit's going over my head. There's some repetition, things like that. It's very strange and engaging and really riveting, but it's also politically charged. You know, it actually has like a message behind it and a theme. There's an actual theme to this, you know, and man, it's so sick. Obviously, I love it from an experiential perspective, seeing what he's doing with combining Kiki's Delivery Service with like World War I, World War II footage, like black and white war footage. It's crazy, and all the speeding up and overlaying and doing more with like RGB stuff. It's so cool. God. It's really nice. And it's just like, but it like that's a riveting fucking experience start to finish. Admittedly, it's really hard to say anything more. I'm so sorry, Gil. But like, I mean, it's what you kind of expect, but he's pushing it a little further. And that's really exciting. It's showing growth. It's showing a willingness to improve. And he's like, yeah, I'm taking this a little more seriously. Not to the point of like, you know, I'm going to sell out and get more subscribers or anything. Although Gil did hit 1,000 subscribers. Congratulations. Finally, one of the boys. Big boy on campus. But it's sick. But it's like, you know, it could really just be like a thing that I like making, and you just kind of make the same thing for years. No, thank you. It's so exciting, and it really makes the audience be like your followers. So that you know, my followers. It makes people who are fans of your content really look forward to what you're making next, because it's showing that you care enough, and it was like you're gonna get better and better. And you're not just going to feed them the same thing over and over. It's so cool, and I'm really happy. That's really mostly the reason why I'm putting this as the best of the week. It's so cool and exciting to see something that seems so radically further and different. I really like it. It makes, you know, my AMVing thing, it really is more just a fun, like, it's fun experience thing, but it's really nothing all that special. Like this, the Rakugo Shinju AMV I made doesn't have too much exciting, cool things going on, and it's kind of a very normie song. So I understand. You know, this is, you know, to each their own. But it's just so cool. to see someone this experimental and also just like, well, the entire time maintaining a very specific aesthetic. Like, you're not making something so radically different that like people are surprised or like, oh, this is weird. This is a different thing that you're weeding them in with the death grips thing, with the aesthetic of the first like 2 minutes or something, or more, the majority of the video, and then suddenly you're cutting to this narration and the little political charged thing while still kind of having some arresting visuals. It's still in the black and white psychedelic messy experience that a lot of your videos are, but it just feels a lot more with a specific driving force and message behind it. There's a really cool art behind it. It's so cool. I'm so happy that you're improving, and it just seems to be you still fucking got it. Oh man, I don't know. That's about all I can really say about it. I just love it. And that'll do for that episode of Anitube Digest. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, including Beamburst, Flugmorph, Ian, Najbev, My Anime Pod, Unique Namosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a good week. Yo, peace.